Hey guys, I'm going to try to add someone. Guest request, viewers. Um, how do I add? There we go. So I'm trying to talk with my friend Lawrence about some topics, and we want to do kind of this series. And can he? First time I'm doing this with other people. Yo, what's up?
Not much, man. Oh, that's a nice feline, man.
It's the same one I had for 2 years. And it's hot as hell over here. So you see me sweating. I'm like,
Oh, baby.
So basically, what we wanted to do with this, I guess we're starting a series, is that Lawrence and I talk about different spiritual topics, whether it's in Ifa, outside of Ifa, and there's been a couple times we have this conversation. And we're like, wow, we really wish we should have had this recorded. So it's just kind of going to be a free flowing, stream conscious type of thing, like most of our conversations are. Um, I may be sober, other people may not be sober. We're going to try this at a time. We run on color people time, so it may be, we'll let you know when we're about to go on, right? So, this is Lawrence, and I met him because he made this nice piece for me, Ikyobe Goodness. Um, that's my Ifa Odu, and I did a custom request. It makes lots of great jewelry with their copper, silver, etc. Lots of some precious stones. I provided him with the mammoth ivory for this. Most people who know me, I have a YouTube, I have Facebook. Um, I am a little controversial, and that's okay. You may know me a little bit from my rants historically for the spiritual community, or some of those videos from overseas in Africa where I'm struggling to maintain control during spirit possession because it's not really something that I like, but you really get to see the struggle live. So still working on that. And, yeah. So Lawrence, you want to take over?
Uh,
Oh, I'm son of Eshu. He's son of Ogun.
uh, I say, as we give a formal greeting, Abu Abu Bushishe, all that great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Oguato.
so my name is Lawrence Pommels. My E5 name is.
Uh,
Uh, I have.
you cut off a little bit. You said
Oh,
my
okay.
my
So,
name is, and
so
then went
I'm
free. You're not supposed to say it, man. You're not supposed to say
these notifications are coming in, and that's what's
it.
going on. And I'm like,
Oh, okay.
why am I keep getting notifications? Crazy. Anyway,
Because you're getting
oh,
popular. You're like, bing, 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 bing.
oh, man, I'm telling you, you know what? The Orisha are good to us.
I only see 3 people online, but
Hey, look, man, my phone is blowing me up, a house party and everything else going on, keeping contact with my family. But like I said, my name is Lawrence Pommels. You know what? I am almost five.
yeah.
I have been uh, a part of the tradition for a number of years. I got initiated about 3 years ago into Ifa. And I can just say from my journey thus far, it has been a revolutionary, revelatory experience. Some things I love, some things I hated. When I had to give up one of my favorite colors, it it is what it is. But you know what? One of the things that I do is, like Monroe was saying, is I make jewelry for a living, and a lot of the pieces I make are inherently spiritual by the fact that they're made by myself. But then too, when I make things, I make them for a purpose. So when Monroe first reached out to me, he said he saw a piece that I had made for my Baba. There was a silver or 25. One of the things that I do um, is I kind of find different ways of putting our Odu and our different signatures on the different pieces. And so, like this piece right here is actually a gauntlet. All right. Also do things with like this stone here is prenite, and then I also have 3 pieces of pearl here, and another big piece of prenite right here. So if you ever want to order anything, hey, please hit me up. I do custom work all the time, and I'd be glad to help you out with anything you need help with. So if you got a piece that you're doing you need for a ceremony, if you got something that you want your Odu on to commemorate, your Itefa, if what you want something that you want for an Orisha, let me know and give me the specifications of what it is according to your lineage, and I'll be glad to help you out with
And he's also a martial artist, so that's the reason why you see his like Orisha warrior gauntlet style going on.
it. Hey man, this is a great guard when it comes to knife fighting. It's saved my wrist.
It reminds me of Xena, but okay.
Hey, look, man, I'm a warrior, not no princess.
These Ogun children, wow. Yeah, it's very well done. He is really talented,
Oh,
and
thank you.
I used to do jewelry a long time ago, probably like 10 years ago. So,
Oh yeah,
um,
the jewelry he makes is phenomenal as well.
but I don't
Eventually
have a
he.
studio. I don't like to play with fire anymore, blow torches. So I'll just
Oh man, they're the most fun.
okay, okay, yeah, very fun. First of
uh,
all, melting down, found objects. Well, bronze casting is what I really loved, and I loved
mm,
just cutting the raw rock like turquoise and making
mm,
something out of it and polishing it and like wet sanding it and for days and days and days. And so it's pretty, but it's a lot of work. So, and then most of my time is now with just the various traditions that I'm in.
mm,
And everybody knows I'm in a lot of traditions. So I had no free time.
right.
And I no, and then I'm
I
still
mean,
working on something.
speak.
I'm taking a break just to do this. So
I mean, well, you know what, man? Like, talk a little bit more about that. Like, as a person who is initiated into all these different, into a few different traditions, right? We've talked a lot about your background, but like one of the things I feel like people don't understand.
you
Is canceled.
hello.
All right, so somebody friend requested me while we were talking, right in the middle of me saying that.
Deny everything. I'm kidding.
But you know what? One of the things I think that people they get enamored with the accoutrement of being in African traditions. So
Oh, I like this nice stuff. Yeah, I like
everybody wants
accoutrement.
everybody wants the big beads. Everybody wants a certain eleke that looks a certain way. Everybody wants 14, 15 eleke. And it's like, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that that is a lot of responsibility.
Um, you got to have a real strong neck, like our ancestors did. Because there's a lot of bowing. There's a lot of wearing a big ass necklaces. There's a lot of being on the mat.
Yep.
Um, my journey, I blame my ancestors because even though most of them
Give
have
credit.
been Christian for a long time, I always felt like, okay, I inherited this stuff and no one gave me a user's manual. And in my family, people can talk to spirits and see spirits and have different dreams and stuff. And I was like, I always thought it was a joke until it started happening to me. And then they're like, oh, well, we thought that was going to skip you. And I'm like, well, funny, but still not helping. So I've kind of had to bumble through my journey through
Mhm.
various traditions, houses, godparents, and trying to find my way. And then it's I started documenting all of it, and some people have their comments about it, and some people really just don't understand me. And what they need to realize is that um, I can't get away from my spirituality. My quest for understanding my spirituality is, and my ancestors is my quest to understand myself. So I can't really
Right.
separate the two. And it's not like I'm putting on a show. Actually, like you see me, like I'm sweating. Like I don't like being on camera that much. When I used to act in theater, um,
Oh,
I would
I thought
always
you
be
love the
like,
camera.
yeah, I used to be like lead on stage sweating, like delivering the lines, but like
Mm-hmm.
so it was always funny for me because I always get nervous, but I, as much as I really don't want to be in the spotlight, but I kind of don't have a choice. Just with the kind of path that I have and the Odu and the spirits I have, I just don't. I want to be like a hermit, and they always pushing me up front, like you need to do this, you need to say this, you need this, and I'm like, this is gonna be cause issues. They're like, I don't care to say it, and so a lot of times it does cause an issue.
Yeah, well,
And
what's in your path is in your path, man. And you know what? Regardless of how other people feel about it, you know,
yeah,
like there are things within my destiny that aren't within other people's destiny. If I get married to somebody, when I get
yeah,
married to them, I still have my own destiny. We have a
true,
collective destiny together,
right.
and we also have our own unique destinies. And I think
And
that's
your
one
children's are gonna be different too.
exactly. You know, it was funny. I was just
Hmm.
having a conversation with my mother about naming children, and she asked me about whether or not I would name my sons after myself. Would I give them my name? And I told her, hell no. And she was like,
I knew it. I knew it.
she asked me why. And I said, well, to be perfectly honest, I'm not going to try to force my children to live in my shadow. One. Two, I'm not going to sit here and try to limit their expression in this world because they came here for a particular purpose, they came here for a particular
Hmm.
function, and they have their own ashe that they have to learn how to wield. And you know what,
True.
my job as a parent, my job as a priest is always to put people on their paths. It's not to
Hmm.
obstruct their path by forcing them to build my path. There's a difference to me between piety and bootlicking.
Or just like living vicariously through other people.
Yeah.
Um, I think sometimes even in spiritual communities we have issues where we get too invested in our godchildren or students or um, because they're a reflection of us to a certain extent in the
Mm-hmm. Oh,
community,
definitely.
but spiritually, not really, because
Right.
at the end of the day, I mean, most initiates nowadays are not children; they're adults. Sometimes they're children, sometimes they're very young. I've seen that happen where they're babies, but um, usually they're kind of as an adult. If let's say you have a godchild that's problematic and causing a whole bunch of brouhaha or craziness or even abuse in the community, it obviously reflects you because you are the first one that people come to like, wait, why are you not saying anything? What are you not? And in the way this community is, it's global. So people have some people have 5, 10, 25, 50, hundreds of godchildren,
Mm-hmm.
and they're separated by continents, and there's no way you can figure, look at everyone. And I had to, even myself, I had to think about that from a different point of view because a lot of my um, godparents were children of like Arabas or chiefs,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go to the chiefs and go literally like, "What the fuck? What's going on here? What is it?" I tell them about the situation. I'm like, "What can we do?" And I didn't get much help. But then I had as I got older and more mature, and I realized that parents can't control their damn kids, adult kids. So why do I expect people who are not blood related, who are separated by continents, to be always, on guard for what their godchildren may do? They are adults, and everyone's responsible for, their own actions.
And I think part of it is, the whole notion of having a godparent, having a rabbi, having,
They're
any
not your parent.
any sort of hierarchy within the tradition.
Mm-hmm.
It just reminds me of any kind of hierarchy in the martial arts world, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that there's only so much I can do to manage another person's behavior. What's supposed to be governing their behavior is the notion of honor, is the notion of,
Mm-hmm.
and if I we call it, omo luwabi, or we call it good character, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if
Or
I
Iwa Pele.
Iwa Pele,
Iwa
Iwa Pele, yeah, and we hear it all the time, and unfortunately, it is much more lacking in the global community than it is present in some senses.
Don't
Now,
say that.
hey, you know what, man? I call a spade a spade. I call look, if it's got bill, wings, and web feet, it's a duck. So I'm not trying to use this opportunity to.
Aflac?
I'm not trying to use this opportunity to necessarily call out any particular set of individuals, but
Mm-hmm.
I would be remiss if I didn't admit that Ifa, just like Christianity, just like Islam, just like the Hebrew
Mm-hmm.
Israelites, just like the Sikhs, just like Buddhists, all have adherence to their traditions that are
Sikhs are
either
perfect.
they're either benevolent or they're malevolent. It just is what it is. It's like not every cop is a bad cop. And it's easier for you to say that when you have cops in your family that you like.
I have cops in my family. Do I like them? No.
And I got cops in my family, and I do like them. I have my own particular view about policing, but that has very little to do with the people that I know, who that I'm related to, on a personal level. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, like as a martial artist, like if I have a student and
Mm-hmm.
they start to act out of character with the lessons that I've taught them, the most that I can do to them is talk to them or disband them from our organization. That's really your only two options. And like
Oh, the despair.
unfortunately, like when
And
it
they
comes
thought we write letters.
unfortunately, like the
I'm going to
thing
write a letter.
unfortunately, like, and in the EFI community, like this whole notion of I think really got it from the Catholics. This whole notion of I'm going to ostracize you, or I'm going to kick you out of the faith seems to be something that I've witnessed in some of these message boards. And for the most part, man, when we talk, I like having one-on-one conversations, and I like to stay
Mm-hmm.
out of the sort of political fodder. Because to me, at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, spirituality is about your own individual growth and journey.
True.
And you know what? If it is destined for me to develop this relationship with Ogun, and it surpasses my relationship that my Baba, my Iya, then it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're not, and I have, fortunately, I have people that I'm learning from that I trust, and they don't try to pigeonhole me to only knowing certain things. They encourage me to go
Yeah.
out and research. They tell me about, like, the difference between being on a wall and being a babalawo, a yawo, a yanifa, right? The difference between all of those things is study. At a certain point in time, you have to
True.
engage in self study. So your relationship with the whether or not you say you're trying to relate to the Orisha, you're trying to relate to the Arumale, your ancestors, or
Mm-hmm.
any of the other various entities that are out here,
Mm-hmm.
it's about a relationship that you develop with them. Because every time you give an offering, if you follow the Ose calendar, right, that will give you a sort
Which I don't all the time because I can't.
but what, that will kind of help set you up to
Mm-hmm.
figure out, all right, which days, you know, which Orisha have I appeased this week? Oh, okay, it's Monday. It's Ose, like today is Friday. Yesterday was Ose Sango, so it's Ose Abatala.
So
So,
he knows it better than me. I'm
so
like, it's Friday. When I start thinking days, I'll make I'm thinking, oh, Friday. Oh, okay. In Candomblé, it's Oshala. And Haitian Voodoo, it's, Kuzan Zaka and Gede. And then I go with Arisha. I'm like, oh, what's up?
so
What's up, SU? Tell me which day it is.
hey. And you know what, man? Some people's schedule can be freer than that. Some
Mm,
people can't. It just all depends on your relationship and your destiny. And like I think
mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that like we really don't talk enough about, even like in talking about Ori and talking about, your destiny. What does your
Mm-hmm.
destiny say is the best thing for you to be doing? What's the most efficacious thing for you to be doing so you getting in line with your true purpose and your purpose in life? Because sometimes, man, we're human beings. Like we get
Are
distracted.
we really?
Look, man, we get distracted. We get caught up in the frills of life.
Because when you're Alarisha, you're a superhero.
Da 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 da. Sorry. But you know what, man? Like, I'm glad you did invite me to have this conversation because even in the conversations, regardless of whether or not it's with you or it's another priest, it's always an opportunity for me to grow and learn because you have the experience of traveling around the globe and getting initiated and seeing these different
A little
traditions
bit. Hold on. A little bit.
a little bit, right?
No, just a little bit. I've only started like 3 years ago, but it's a little bit. I'm still, even with traveling, I'm still getting used to different cultures, the culture shock. Because, like in Nigeria, you went to a totally different region than
Yeah.
I did. So even though I went mostly in Ogun State and into Lagos, um, I didn't go up into Oyo. I didn't go
Mm-hmm.
to Oshogbo. I didn't go to Ibadan. I definitely didn't go to Benin City, which I really wanted to go.
Did you go to Ife?
I no, I had priests from there, and they travel. Some of the priests, the Alarishas, like they travel maybe like a whole day to get
Mm-hmm.
there. So I had priestesses from a lot of different areas, and priests for Egungun and Ogbani and stuff. So they came from different areas. But yeah, I didn't get to go. I didn't get to travel. I traveled more in Benin. So Benin, I traveled, north and south, east and west. And then,
Mm-hmm.
after my ceremonies were over, then I had a driver, so we traveled a lot more, and I met different priests there outside my lineage. So, I travel more in the Voodoo, Benin, Togo type of area, but
Okay.
Nigeria is huge, but it's
Yeah.
just it's
You know
just
what,
each
man?
region. Everyone like tries to combat each other about which is the right way, and sometimes it really isn't the right way because it depends on which region do you see as the hub,
Right.
and that may not be based on history or some people think Oshun is Oshobo's
It,
is the Oshun is there. I mean, because the river's there. Oshun River runs a lot of places. It's a
it
big
does.
river, and it gives birth to like Aaron Lake River, Laguna Day River, even further down like Otin River. It's a lot of different rivers.
Mm.
Hey, how are you? Um, so there's a lot of different variations, and I've seen people do. My Igba for Oshun is kind of a mix. It's not so much. Yeah, I have a couple Abebe from Brazil, so they look like condom blade styles, but it was just easier to get, or the swords, a little bit easier to get in Brazil because they make things like that
Yeah.
than it was in Africa. It was very hard for me to find swords that are brass and in Nigeria, or even Abebe. And so,
I mean, it
or
just is
the
what it is,
fans,
man.
but inside my Igba, it's a more of a combination of like a Ogun State and even more like an Ibadan style or a Shobo
Mm-hmm.
style because I have
Mm-hmm.
all those Shobo tools, and then I have a lot of rocks in my stuff, but actually have a lot of tools. So it's more like the Shobo style than Ogun State. And I have other stuff where it's a little bit of a mix because I've started out in one lineage and then I went into another one. Even my lineage in Brazil was from a different region, so
Mm-hmm.
I was under um, the lineage of Arapa, Agbola, and then in Nigeria it's more of a Pupila camp, even though I wasn't involved directly with Pupila. So it's a little bit of or let's say Ifa Council people which is a lot of, and Pupa is head of that.
Mm.
So it's a different view of different of doing things,
Oh,
and
most definitely,
sometimes
man.
it's like both ways are right. I mean, even the way I was painted was more the Abiyakuta way, so they're known for being using like Q-tips and very intricate designs where, you go to Lagos and they're like bump 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 bump, you're done. Or Oyo is like good.
Well, you know what, man?
Abiakuta's like, I'm doing an art project on your face.
Mhm.
This is ta-da.
Well, you know what, man? Like that's one of the things that traveled outside of the United States. If you never left
I
Cuba,
wouldn't.
if you never
Wouldn't.
left Brazil, like people don't realize that when you get into this tradition, that is a spiritual journey. When something is spiritual, that means it has many roles to accomplish one thing.
And many potholes,
Man,
especially in Nigeria.
oh my goodness,
Those roads are
the roads are rough.
up.
I don't know. You know what, man? Like
I
I
don't know
think
how they
the
have
roads in
tires.
Nigeria are
I don't
rougher
know
than
how they have
Jamaica.
tires. I don't know how they have. It's like, or the little tricycles, the putt putt. What they call them in Caribbean, putt putt. But like, um, these little tricycles, and you be going up the hills, and you feel like, okay, when is this tricycle gonna fall backwards? And it's like,
Nah, man, but they be getting it. Like, you
yeah.
know, yeah, I will say as far as like transportation
And then
goes,
the motorcycles,
oh,
people on
dude,
motorcycles. I've seen four or five
people
people on
zip in and out
motorcycle
of
with
traffic.
a baby, and I'm just like, I can barely fit my ass on this motorcycle. How they fit five? Like,
They will get it
because I
done.
not fall off as I'm going up the hill. I'm like, please don't fall. So yeah, it's different.
I mean, but you know what, man? Like, I really did hope that anybody who's watching this really don't get caught up on the differences. Appreciate them. Know, you know what?
Mm.
Learn what they are, but like, don't become dogmatic about it.
Right.
If
Because I
somebody
mean that.
if somebody does something a little bit differently, if they use different Oriki than what your Baba your
Mhm.
EI uses, if they got a different format for how they do prayer, like for us when we do a warre, like there's a certain format to how you're supposed to do things.
Mhm.
Now, how how you put the format together, how you put the puzzle
Mhm.
pieces together, the order that you put them in together may change depending on region. Because you know what, that story that you're using from that region, that may not be the same story they use in another.
The only time I go, and you know me by now.
Mm-hmm.
When I see something and like my spirit's like, what the fuck they doing? And it's not because I haven't seen it before. It's really like, and then I
Something
go
don't feel
ask
right.
my Risha, and I go ask Ifa, and they're like, yeah, that's wrong. They didn't learn the right way. Like, and then they'll say, or it's something that sometimes Brazil is interesting because I'll see stuff in Brazil I don't see in Nigeria or anywhere else, and I'm like, where they're like, this is how our lineage does it, and I'm like, really?
All right.
Um, okay.
Hey, look, man. Look.
Where does this come from? Why do you do it that way? No explanation, and exactly.
Okay.
There's
That's
no
what I have to say
explanation,
to that.
and I'm just like, okay. I mean, some stuff like there's certain orishas where people with the diaspora, especially like Obatala and probably Oshagian and or they call it Ajaguna. Um, in Nigeria they eat palm oil and most or they drink gin and most people that diaspora are like alcohol, palm oil, you know, and or even with the Ogun and the dog thing, and they're like, a dog, and
You know,
I was like, let me tell you, I've been in Lukumi, I've been in Condomble, I've been in Isese, and not until I went to Nigeria. and gave Ogun that dog, did not Ogun really like wake up? And he's had goats the entire time. He's had for years. I've had the same Ogun for since 2012.
Mm.
So he's been fed a lot of stuff, and a lot of roosters, a lot of goats, a lot of snails, and just like not until I got that dog, it was like, thank you.
It's like dun 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 dun.
And I have like a my Ogun has this large rock from Ogun State, so I mean it's a different. It's not the like little small one they give in
Mm.
Lukumi or even Condom Blade. Sometimes they don't have one at all,
Okay.
but some houses do. But yeah, it was usually small. No, mine's like the size of a football,
Uh, and
and
mm. Well, you know what,
mhm.
man? Like, I think that's a good segue into what we had started to say. We were gonna try to make this conversation about. We have definitely done some topic hopping.
Well, it's like I said, it's gonna be free in the stream of consciousness, and
Yeah, nah,
or
man.
what I like to call concrete random. It's like you just stick a pin in it and come back later. You
That,
know, it's just except there's a lot of pins out there. It's like boom, 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 boom.
dude, sometimes it's funny. Like when you have conversations, it's like, all right, that relates to that fact. Hold on, I said something about that last week. Let me go back and reach back for that one. And so this is how this relates to this.
It's like as we're talking, there's like on a map, there's like these little pins and little string, and this is how they all connect together. And at least in my mind.
Well, you know what? Remember I was telling you about how I was reading a verse out of Ejiobe about how Ori,
Oh, here we go.
hey, bro, about how Ori set up the different Orisha in the various areas. So, like, one of the things that I started doing was like I went back and I
Mm.
got a giant map. I printed up a giant map of Nigeria, and I
Oh,
started
I did that. Yeah,
and
I
I
didn't
started
print it,
putting
but I
pins
yeah.
in these different locations. And for the towns that I couldn't figure out, because it's like, all right, either the name of this town has changed, this is
Mhm.
something that it was referenced in antiquity as. Like,
Mhm.
I started doing the work of
Mhm.
trying to figure out, all right, well, if these different research are set up in these various towns, what does that
Mhm.
mean? Is these still the places that we can go currently?
It means they're all human.
But it's like, where are the places that we can go currently for these things? Because I think that's the other
Mm.
thing that becomes a little bit of a logistical issue is when you
Yeah,
start off from scratch and you don't know nobody. Like,
yeah.
you
Like
know,
for example, like Ocean Mare, people still trying to find. They say they found them, but I'm still trying to figure that out. Um, Most of it says it's in Ketu, which is actually in Benin now.
mm,
Um, his circle of what they say, like Oshagien, you can't really find much of unless you're in Ogun State or go to Ejipo. Um, Gala Day is mostly Ogun State, Lagos thing. Um, what other ones? Laguna Day, Ibadan. There's a strong family that has a historical shrine there. But outside of those regions, oh, Agayu is extremely hard to find.
oh yeah. I
So
mean,
is
a lot of people don't even
Oba.
know who Agayu is.
So is Oba Nani, who's
Mm-hmm.
very different than diaspora. Yewa is like that's like a missing link. Sometimes you find a couple temples here and there. Um, Nana Bruku, you have to go towards like the Remo area to find um, people who can do Obaluaye correctly. And I say correctly because it's a lot of painting and a lot of animals, and
Mm-hmm.
it has to be done a specific way. Otherwise, it's no good.
Hey,
And
you
I
know
know
what,
that
man?
from and
Protocol, protocol.
I know that from doing Sakpata. It's not fun at all. It's a very heavy Orisha,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to do if you ever do that, you either want to do that as your only Orisha or you want to do it last because I think Shango, Obaluaye, and Orisha Oko are the three that really like to be the only ones on your head or last. Like they shut your head down, like no more. You close for business.
No mas.
Just
You
focus
can't
on
get
me.
past the border. I don't care what your passport says. But Brazil.
They're like, don't shave your head again, nigga. No, don't do
No,
it. Oops, I
no,
said that.
it's like nah. You know, man. Like I remember,
this will not be on YouTube. I'm kidding.
you know, man. Like I thought I was gonna get saved. Like I thought my locks was gonna get saved when I went, and nah, not a prayer, not a hope.
Mm.
And you know what's funny is you realize what's important in you in life when you go through a situation like that, because immediately you're told, all right, these are your new parameters by which to operate.
Oh man.
And you either, hey, look, you either adhere or you don't. And you know what sometimes works out to people's benefit. Some people can skate the line more than others. Some people can't skate the
Um,
line at all.
I see some people where, like, I'll say they claim to be a Yogbe, and I've talked to other Yogbe's, even Yogbe's and Alpha, and
Mm-hmm.
like Togo and Benin, and we all have very similar taboos, and we have all very similar, you know, side effects of breaking our taboos. But I found
Mm-hmm.
some interesting folks in the diaspora who said they're Yogbe, and I see them smoking, all types of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
um, drinking heavy, eating palm oil, wearing red, what other, eating everything. Where it specifically says there's like a whole list of things in your way you're not allowed to eat, and I'm like, and I see them in Nigeria and they're just chowing down. I'm like, is that fried chicken with palm oil and like a goosey soup
See,
and
they
and
can play with their destiny if they
and
want to. That's
and I
on
was
them.
just like, and this and that with a, I was like, and you just drinking beer after beer after beer, and I'm like, and some palm wine, and I'm just like, with a red hat on, I'm like, what is going on?
Look, man, you know
I'm like, I was like, I would be
when it
so
comes to
sick, I'd
that,
be
man.
throwing up by it.
Look, when it comes to that, I say, you know what, people play with their lives the way they want to. I think one of the things that ends up happening is when people come to traditions like Ifa or
Mm-hmm.
any other kind of African spiritual tradition, is that they can't come to that tradition with their and maintain their Eurocentric viewpoints.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna do what the hell I want viewpoint, and
You know what I
it's very,
mean?
especially the millennial group. It's like, and I'm millennial too, but it's just like, it's that view where it's like, I'm gonna do whatever I want. You can't make me do it what I don't want to do, and then it depends on the tradition and depends on the spirit, because it seems like orishas can sometimes be a little bit more forgiving, but the Vodouns and Loire from Haiti don't play. They like they're like, what you say? Boom. Like like I I'll tell the story when I was doing my first Conzo,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I was only going to Conzo once. So I it took me almost, let me see, 5 years to initiate Haitian Voodoo, and I because I had my Lavitet, and I was like, I'm done, and I was kind of working independently. I didn't want to be in a part of the house, blah blah blah. So
Mm-hmm.
when I finally tried the Conzo, there's different levels. So I was like, I'm gonna do Surf in the mid level, so I don't have to be a Sagway, I don't have to do all these rules, and I don't have to be privy to all this BS. And I was like, no. And then it was something where everyone had left. I had to go to the bathroom, and someone has to escort you out the initiation room to go to the bathroom. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay. I was looking. I put my head out the door. Everybody's gone, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a run for it, so I won't get in trouble. So I start to get out the door. And as soon as I get out the doorway, something pushes my head into the frame of the door, like boom, like slams the shit out of my head.
Ah,
And I
ah,
was just like, I don't gotta go bathroom no more. I'm gonna wait.
I can hold it.
That's the first time I really, I was like, okay, I can see what this is, what folks be talking about. Uh, when they talk about keeping your secrets and following the rules. That was the first time I
Mhm.
was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. And
Right.
then the second time, which I didn't even plan, I didn't plan the Conzo the second time. They told me
Uh-huh.
that after I was finished.
Uh-huh.
Like, Loa came down, was like, "Yeah, you're gonna be doing this again in 40 days." And I was like, I don't know if I have the money for that, and I don't can't get off work. Long story short, 40 days came by, got the money, and then lost my job. And he's like, "You're getting your ass to Haiti right now. Thanks."
Yeah.
So did that, and then a little
Because
while,
they will make a way.
literally, literally, I forgot I didn't bow correctly or something. I was
Mm.
supposed to bow with both knees, and I did with one knee. And this little while doesn't really talk too much as it is, and I don't speak Creole. And he stabbed me in the damn leg, like with a knife, and everyone screamed. And then he pulled a knife out. There was no blood. There was no wound. It still hurt like hell, but I didn't even have a rip in my pants. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, that's especially with Haitian voodoo and African voodoo. I've seen where they will punish you to a certain extent to get you to get in line.
Cause and effect.
And
Immediate repossession.
it's not even just the possession. Like the possession, like, yeah, I'm a very stubborn person. I don't want to get possessed. I don't want to go in trance.
Mm-hmm.
Loire, African voodoo. African voodoo is worse than Loire. I thought Loire was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Um, African voodoo will literally knock you off your feet, and they're like, "Oh, you don't want to get possessed." Next thing you know, you wake up on the floor. Like it's just they'll do it quickly. Like so, you're not even going to full trance. It's just to punish you. Like it's like you trying to tame a horse. Literally, that's why
Mm-hmm.
they kind of sometimes they call it the horse. But like they literally will make you do stupid shit, fall down, fall into shit, get crazy stuff just to. Well, I have SU and I have another spirit that's kind of a trickster too, so they do it kind of laugh at me. But um, yeah, I've been it's weird situation where you're like you have absolutely no control of your body. It can be a little bit frightening, but for people who don't go into trance, you know, it's
I
just
mean, you
different
know what, man? The
levels.
first
It's
time you
just
see
something.
something
Not
like
everybody
that,
goes into
it's
trance.
alarming. It's an alarming thing to see.
I had some crazy shit happen in Africa. Like, and the crazy shit is obviously not on video,
Right.
um, or I clipped a lot of it out. Um, yeah, the even Orisha, like when Orisha came, I did not expect it. I did not want it to come. Um, I did have a video where Orisha Oshun came and that one lady, and she was just dancing. She was like la da 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 singing. Next thing you know, she literally flew across the room, like she spun around and flew from one corner to. And the funniest part was like it was funny and scary at the same time because it was so fast, and this woman grabbed another woman. She literally planked on her, like flat on the floor. And I was so afraid that the woman busted her head open. Da, da, da. And as she rolled over, you see that the woman in trance was holding the woman's head as they were rolling. So she held her head even when she fell,
Mm.
and she was holding and she was hugging her the whole time. And it was like wow. And once the woman finally realized what happened, she's like, "The hell just happened?" Um, she was like, "Why am I on the ground?" But the woman who had Oshun, it took her a long time to come back, and she actually it was something similar to what I saw in Brazil, where she kind of passed out, and then she was catatonic for a good hour,
Mm.
and then eventually she came out of it. So I realized I've seen that before in Brazil, where people kind of just plank out and they're just kind of catatonic, and you know that's the only place I've seen that happen. But in Nigeria, I saw that as well, where people who actually do come down to Risha, that it's exhausting. They have no idea what happened, and you can't fake that. It's just, I mean, the woman literally flew across the room like
You know what?
in one move.
Look,
And
that's you
you,
know, there's certain things that you just can't fake. There's certain things
yeah.
that, like, when you witness them,
Mm,
it's oh yeah, that was real. It's like not only did I feel something, I saw
yeah.
something floating across. I couldn't explain that. Nope. like so, I mean,
and it,
they're all
and you
types
know
of
it's not
things,
the person
man.
because
That people see.
they're like, oh, okay, whatever. No, it's like, no, you literally flew across the room. Like,
Yeah,
I did what?
yeah. It's like, oh yeah, no, I was floating. You were floating. I was, huh? Yeah, like you sat on something and then you floated across the room. I'm
Wasn't
Goku
floating.
now. Okay, I'm Goku. I'm on a Nimbus.
Super Nigerian level 45.
Oh God.
I
Oh!
was gonna do that.
But
Oh,
you,
Lawrence has his Joker laugh. Just it is his laugh. It's not
man, it's just the way that I laugh, man.
these Jamaicans, man.
Oh
And
man.
it's that the accent goes in and out. Just to let people know. Sometimes he speaks patois, and it's like, where's Baba Lawrence? Come on, come bring the Nigerian back.
Well, you know, it's funny. One of my old friends was like, "Look, can I have?" It's like I like to talk to Lawrence now. Can Yoda go home?
Yoda, I wouldn't put you there. I got the ears though. Just they, I wear this hat. My ears point like a little elf. Yeah.
I mean, you know, man, all we need is like a couple of slits and some needles, and like you can have the Vulcan ears, man. We can give you them ears. Ah,
You're
ah.
messed up, man. You're fucking messed up. That's
Hey, you know what, man? If we can't make fun of ourselves while talking about some of this stuff
me make fun of myself. Never. I never do that. I'm so serious, and I'm
all the time, huh?
all the time. I think people don't see the side of me because it's just like I'm just like boom boom boom. I have different sides. I mean, that my work side is like very serious. Like I need to get shit done. If
Mm.
you need, if you're going supposed to help me, please help me. If you're not, get the hell out of the way. I got shit to do. um, but other than that, it's comedy hour.
Hey,
That's how you
man,
get. That's how you get through life. I mean,
you got to laugh to keep from
the
crying.
good and the bad. Just
You got to
keep
laugh to keep
laughing.
from crying, man. Like, you know what? If you can't laugh in the middle of doing something, I think that it's not worth doing. So, like, regardless of whether or not that's you being in the classroom, that's you being on a job, that's you being at the
Hmm.
house by yourself, like, you should always
Hmm.
be able to bring that laughter and that levity to a situation. Because as long as you can bring levity to a situation, you can see that, you know, it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. There is a solution somewhere in here. I
Hmm.
just have to calm myself down long enough to be able to see what are my options.
Calm yourself down. Do you have a temper?
I'm just saying when people get excited, man, they lose track. They get
Martial artists are supposed to have be all zen and I'm collecting my chi and
but you know what, man? Like
um
just because you're just because you're a martial artist doesn't mean that you are above being a human being. Doesn't mean that you don't have feelings. Doesn't mean you don't get agitated. Because people ask you dumb crap all the time, just like if you were a priest. You know, people will walk up to you and they want the $1,000
package.
hour long lesson, but they got $2 budgets.
Oh, I was gonna say 10. You were giving people a real good credit today. I mean,
You know,
$2.
and you know, and it is what it is, man, because people are thirsty for knowledge. But you know, at the same time, man, like
They're
yeah,
like, teach me everything. I want to be a priest in a day, and I'll give you two biscuits and a piece of chicken.
and I'm gonna look. I'm gonna say this:
No gravy.
go over there and get on that mat and figure something out for yourself.
And then SU's like, I don't eat fried chicken, bitch.
So,
Give me some mice though.
um, but I mean, it's interesting. Like when we talk about issue, um, I've seen just a myriad of people just kind of mispromoting issue, and
I
so,
decided I realized I decided amongst myself not to get triggered by that because I used to get I don't know it was something about when you get initiated to SU and like or maybe it's just a trans thing that
mm,
was happening so often. I used to get real almost like protective
mm,
of what people would say with SU and sometimes it would piss me off and then I realized it wasn't me getting pissed off, it was him getting pissed off and it was
mm,
encouraging my temperament and I was getting into arguments with people and I realized that, you know, some people are gonna say stupid shit, some people are just stupid.
yeah.
Um let them figure it out the hard way. I mean, I think the most that because the most trouble I've got was from coming from not because I wanted to correct people, but because I cared too much and I didn't want people to go through as tough of a time as I did. But
mm,
but then I realized that sometimes you don't really learn unless you go through all the bumps and bruises and
right.
the tribulations and the blockages, and you figure out you. And so when you come out on the other side is when you really realize what was the worth. You know, what was it all worth and what's the lesson in it, and if it's super easy and you don't have any it's you just don't get it. And you know I think a lot of times people read me wrong because I was trying to be almost like an overbearing parent, like I'm like trying to help people and I want them to do be the best they can and not and have a smooth path. But now I realize that
I
people just
mean,
need to go through their own shit. Like, and I can't save them from that, especially if they're stubborn.
yeah, like you can't stop somebody from not experiencing obstacles. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's life. That's whether or not you're a
Ah,
parent,
I get that now. A
whether or
couple
not
years
you're
ago, I didn't.
whether or not you're a parent or a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my like as a teacher in the martial arts, my biggest test of skill is not what I'm physically capable of doing. It's about
Mm-hmm.
what my students are capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the challenge for me is
You froze.
my social
You
media.
froze.
Yeah, it froze. So social notification on cell phone. So like when it comes to your students, um,
Mm-hmm.
my biggest challenge is did I convey the right information
Mm-hmm.
to my student in a way that they could comprehend and then be able to apply this to their lives.
Right. Application is key.
You know what I mean? Because again, I have certain abilities because I've been doing martial arts 25 years, right? It's just like if I was an awo, um, like it said, hey, trying to compete with you, who has more power or better than you. You know what, Nanny, just to comment on that real quick in the middle of all this, like it's really funny to me how people act in the African traditional community that like knowledge trumps pettiness, and it just doesn't. I don't care how much knowledge you have. Like I've had this as my own personal experience. Knowledge does not guarantee benevolence. It does not. It does not secure iwapele. It does not change your character. Because even in Ifa, you have the option to listen and obey or not to obey. Like there are so many Odu with stories of people who complied or did not comply, and you find out the result of people who didn't comply with the elbow or didn't comply with what the Babalawo or what the Olarisha told them, and with their lives they had to face certain consequences
Mm-hmm.
because they did not obey what spirit was telling you. The
And
purpose of
then,
the purpose
mhm,
of having all of this in your life is really to make your life simpler. It's not to advocate you from thought and being self-aware and being able to make decisions, but
true.
it is to help. It is to help empower you with the knowledge of things yet unseen, or
Hmm.
things that you don't necessarily know about.
And
And so,
about this, sorry, to compete with who has more power or better than you. I don't think that. I think that's that view of better than someone based in the traditional
yeah.
point of view is skewed because um, two things. One, everyone has different is unique. Everyone has a different ancestry, um,
Mhm.
and um, and when we come into these human bodies, we have two sources, or well, let's say three sources of power. We have that kind of divine spark that makes us alive, and
Mhm.
that's one. And then we have our ancestral
That's right.
whatever that is, all the baggage. So their ancestral, all the achievements, all the issues, the curses, the things not still yet to be done, the obligations, the responsibilities, the
Mhm.
hope hope things will manifest. All that from ancestry, and then we also have a spiritual path from a soul level. So if we live multiple lifetimes or we have different connections to different soul groups to different types of spirits or different types of
Mhm.
entities, that can be completely different than even when the same family. For example, my brother is not in this. He's 5 years younger than me. He's not spiritual at all. I mean, he's almost like a black Republican. He's so analytical and so non-spiritual, any of that. Like it's like we're not even related.
Oh, that's
um
funny.
his and I'm completely into the spiritual stuff, and
I,
and my dad's spiritual. Even my dad's not. My dad's spiritual in a more of a negative way, but my mom's spiritual too. And it's but still there's spirituality there. My brother is like an inert battery. Like it's like he's
but the thing though, like you
just
emphasize, it's
baseline
different.
human.
It's just
Like
different. Like
it's different, and then
how
the
you
exact
connect
same
with the divine,
ancestor,
even
exact
in
same
one family.
DNA. Like,
Like even in one family, how you connect to the divine changes
mm,
because of your own unique relationship.
right. And the second part with this whole more power than you, from my experience being in different traditions and being in different countries, and also having people throwing witchcraft in my ass since before I got into this, probably like Mm, yeah, even like 2008, 2009, when I was in Native American communities, I had to deal with this shit. So, it's been over 10 years of dealing with people throwing shit at me.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, whether they want to suck energy out of me or they wanted me to comply or buy me or they just think they need to bring me down to size, whatever, who cares? Um, the thing is, it doesn't matter how people, how much they know about the tradition. I know people who I ain't gonna say no names, but they come from families of Voodoo. They come families of Orisha. They come from families of Ifa, and they still doing the petty shit that any Palero, any
Yep.
Bokor, any
Yep.
conjure worker, they throwing spirits at people. They're throwing people from the graveyard. They're throwing people. They're throwing shit. Working with certain type of. Some of them working with demons. Some of them working with other types of witchcraft entities, and you never know, you would never think that this person who knows all this
Yep.
information comes from this wonderful
Yep.
legacy that
Yep.
has books and everything else. They get down and dirty just like anybody else who don't know shit. They do the
Mm-hmm.
exact same shit. So it really comes down to personal power at the end of the day. It has nothing to do with all your titles and your legacy and how much you know. That only comes to help with getting rid of stuff or combating stuff or helping to get past blockages that people put before you. But when it comes down and dirty, trying to make somebody sick, hex them, try to kill somebody, it's really the same shit. Everybody is using dead folks and herbs and animals, and that's it. Whether it's dried animals, animal parts, animal bones, human bones, or sacrificing blood, everybody's doing the same shit. They
And
putting a candle on your ass.
you know what? Like my best advice, or at
So,
least a piece of advice for you, in trying to combat some of this crap that people are throwing at you. If you're any five, we have this concept called a re, and
mm,
it is imperative that you appease your re, because your re is really the first thing that stops all of this bullshit from even affecting you. So
mm-hmm.
like when it comes to your re is your head, right? Your re is also your destiny, right? Now I'm not gonna get into the different parts of a re on this particular in this particular conversation.
Please don't.
You
This is episode 0. This is a trial.
know what I mean? But I will say this is that no one can bless you outside of your Ori giving them permission. So it doesn't matter whether or not we're talking about Orisha, we're talking about
Mm.
Iami, we're talking about uh,
Not yeah, me.
we're talking, well, true, depends. Anyway, but like nothing can bless you or hurt you outside of your Ori giving it permission. And so, like, if you're dealing with somebody's pettiness, which is what you're dealing with, because the reason why people resort to spiritual matters to do warfare is because they either
Mm-hmm.
are lacking something in their own personal lives and they can't achieve it. They look at
or
somebody else who has it and they're
or they covet
jealous of
something
it,
from someone. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they're trying to ruin somebody else's life for the express purpose of vengeance or trying to attain what they feel that this other person unrightfully has for whatever reason. Because it doesn't matter whether or not you're in, it doesn't matter whatever tradition you're in or just in life in general. If somebody's
Having.
jealous of you, they're going to use whatever means they have available to them to
Mm-hmm.
be able to try to throw a wrench in your program and to be able to stop whatever you got going on. But
True.
again, getting back to like the solid piece that I can give to you is to appease your worry, and to work with your head to make sure that not only do you have a good relationship with your Ori, but to make sure that you are telling yourself, I am strong, I matter, I'm not going to succumb to the attacks of others. Focus on your life. Focus on what you need to be doing in order to be able to progress and develop and achieve. So the more you focus on their pettiness and their witchcraft, and the more you start to slack on your own responsibilities, that's when stuff really starts hitting you. And as far
Agreed.
as what people throwing stuff at you, if you have any sort of shrines at home, talk to your shrines. Talk to whatever entities that you have committed relationships with in your home and figure out, all right, well, what's going on? Ask them questions. You have that shrine for a reason. The whole purpose of having this thing is it's about communication, and that's one of the things that kind of makes African spirituality, in particular, like Ifa, unique. And Voodoo, like we communicate with our divinities.
I'm
We
dying
can.
over here.
so holla at Olo Kun, I say Olo Kun about me. Um, but all in all, either appease your Ori or you need to get a reading. If you really feel like the situation is that dire, that something is going on and you can't figure it out, you can't ask
Mm-hmm.
whatever you got going on, and you ask if you find your house, you ask Ifa like, hey, you know what? I feel like something's going on. I feel like this is going wrong in my life, this is going wrong in my life, and this is going wrong in my life. Do I need to get a reading? Ifa will let you know. Yes or no. Certain things can be fixed with a simple prayer. Other things we got to go on a ritual for, and that's
They're
just
attacking me right now.
You sure that's not somebody cutting onions at your house?
Oh, I was like, I was like, oh shit, I can't talk. I was like, oh, somebody want me to say this.
But I mean, you know what? I've dealt with it
But
in
I was like, hallelujah, Lawrence, go ahead, go
oh man, like
ahead.
you know what? I've dealt with it. I've dealt with being spiritually attacked, and usually the motivating factor for
No, never.
oh people are so benevolent. You know, I don't care what walk of life you come from. If you throw a punch at me, you throwing a punch at me. I don't care if you're a priest, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're a janitor, if you work at the currency exchange. If somebody throws a punch at me and they hit me in the face, you still that person still threw a punch and hit me in the face.
No, I think the
Period.
janitor be worse because you know
I
what
mean,
they've
they
been
actually do
cleaning.
mean labor. Yeah.
They've been cleaning some stuff, and you might get more than just a punch. Might have some residue.
It might be contaminated. Um, but the other thing that I would say that will protect people in the long run is developing a relationship with their Risha. Like
Yeah.
whatever your whatever you want to say is like whoever owns your head, right? Because it's like Wata owns all heads. But the difference between like being in a diasporic tradition that is,
Mhm.
that might be more Latino based versus being in Isese is that you might initiate into multiple things. It's not
Yep.
just one. It's not just one Orisha or your ancestors or your Ori or some other entity that is influencing your life. Even from my own experience getting readings over the years that I've been in E5, um, different Orisha have come and made themselves present and known to me in my life at
Yep.
different times. Orisha that I wasn't even on my radar for how what I felt like my character was. Because you know what, I've had
Hmm.
people say to me, "Oh, you're a child of Ogun because you're a jeweler and a martial artist." I'm like, yeah,
Stereotype.
which is again, it's a stereotype. That just because
Hmm.
that's something I do doesn't necessarily mean that's who's over my head. And that also
Hmm.
doesn't mean that, what, Ashun can't come help me with something. Doesn't mean that,
Hmm.
what, Oya can't come help me with something. It doesn't mean that, what, Eshu can't come help me with something.
Hmm.
It does not mean that at all. It just means that, oh, okay, in this particular part of my life, oh, okay, this is the part of my Ashe that's being activated to help me solve this problem.
Hmm.
And so, like,
Um. Hmm.
anytime we have like an Orisha coming and helping us, it's like, oh man, because that Orisha is already in me. The only thing initiation does is just helps activate the rest of that to course through your body.
For me, speaking of Orisha that I wasn't playing, like when I first was in Lukumi and I got my Bahada or from Ifa, they said they wanted to crown me Yamaya, and I was like, what? This
Mm-hmm.
didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me. And then when I finally did initiate years later, the weirdest thing is that whether it was in Isese or Contemplate or Brazil, Nigeria, there was always Ochosi or Oshosi present there. Like it was either like an Ile for Oshosi or um, it was Obatla and Oshosi,
Mm-hmm.
and it was always present and always came down in trance during my initiation, either afterwards or during, and especially afterwards or during it. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I did contemplate, the weirdest thing is Oya spoke, and she's the one actually approved for me to go through the initiation, and I was just like, where you been? I never talked to you. Like she never shows up. Like I was flabbergasted. I was just like, oh yeah, really? Is this some Risha that never seemed outside of the chaotic shit that happened in my life? Like, when it comes down, you get those readings, but you get
Mm-hmm.
Osai. But I never had Oya really come strong for me ever until was going time to initiation. She wanted to make herself known. Yemaja got me at the end, especially when I got initiated and then I did Gala Day and stuff. She just kept coming back and back and back and back, and I was like, okay, my mother's really Oshun, but she just Yamaja just took over the party at a certain point. She's done that even my first initiation where she would not allow me to get initiated unless she got to go. And then when I went to Nigeria, she wanted a ram. So she always seems to have to be fed before me to initiate to anything. And I don't know why. Maybe it's the Mommy Wata stuff. I don't know, but
Mm.
it's. I have some weird connection in Yamajada. It's like very strong, and it's again like when I understand how people got confused, but even if I was like, you don't have your main Orisha is not female. What in the world? Like it was. I went to many different priests and different traditions, and they were like, no. They thought, I mean, I heard Eshu. They told me I had Obatsala. They told me I had Shango. They told me I had
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ogun. And then even when I got Shango done, they're like, no, you're really a child of Ogun. And I'm like, please don't start this shit with me. It's like, I literally had this elder in Brazil was like, telling me in Portuguese, you don't look like a child of Shango. Like, you look like a child of Ogun. And I'm like, because in Brazil they do a lot about body types and
Mm.
stereotypes and things like that, and it's just not always the same. And I mean, they do a little bit in Lukumi, but not to the extent of Brazil. Brazil is like almost like astrology. It's like
Mm.
children, oh yeah, act this way. They act crazy. They're clingy. They like this color. They tend to be this build. They tend to
Mm.
look this way. Like
Uh,
it gets ridiculous. But I also have seen it true. Like I've seen people who are children of Oshumare, and they're very thin and very fit, and um like they just all look the same. Same thing with children of Chosi or O'Day. The children, people getting this shit, Shango tend to get fat for whatever reason. Um, Same thing with Yamaja. Most of the girls are, get kind of bigger. And
mm.
and even if they weren't to begin with, after initiation, they get they start gaining weight or people lose weight. And I don't know why that is. It's just a weird diasporic thing I see where, because, in Nigeria, all the priests of Shango are skinny as hell.
Man, you
um,
know what? I didn't see it. I didn't see not one
no
plump
fat one.
Stongo
Nope.
pre. Like,
No. Obasa, sure. Shango, no.
yeah. But and you know what?
I've seen
Like,
a lot of fat Obasa trees, yeah.
and you know what, man? Like, again,
And Arisha Oko.
it just comes down to whatever your tradition is, whether or not
Mm-hmm.
you're in a sensei, or whether or not you're in a diaspora tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think one of the things that people get hung up on a lot, whether or not we're bouncing from, whether or not we're talking about Santaria, Lukumi, 21 divisions, Palo Maumbe, various forms of voodoo that exist in the Americas,
Mm-hmm.
um, is we get really caught up in this notion of who's right when it
and
comes to
who and who rules your head?
right,
It's like,
who's right and who rules your head. And like, I'm not going to say that any of these traditions are wrong, but I say,
mm-hmm.
like, for me, in order to appreciate some of these traditions and what they are, I need to
Mm-hmm.
understand where they came from, what
Mm-hmm.
experience birthed these things. Because if I can, at this point in time, we're very fortunate that we can go to Nigeria, we can call somebody up in Nigeria, or we can,
Mm-hmm.
we can get it, quote unquote, straight from the root. But even then, we have to understand the history of transformation that happened with this group of people.
I think a lot of it, the reason why we have these different flavors in different countries is because of this unique composition of peoples
Oh, yeah.
from the
The
kind
Taino,
of the congregation of different tribes through
Congolese, Yoruba,
the
Akan.
Atlantic slave trade in general, immigration. So
Yep.
we have even if we remove the Catholics part of it, which most people don't know is that the Catholics started actually in Africa. That most people from the major groups of slaves, they were already Catholic when they got here. Um, so by the Portuguese. So um, there's just all different groups of people. Just like we both have Jamaican ancestry. So part of um, my father's side, that family, they have a different group of people who are descended from that island versus the other island, which would be Haiti. So Haiti has a
Mm-hmm.
different group, a different ethnic mix. Jamaica have like, what is it, mostly from Ghana, like Ashanti, from Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
and then I also have a lot of Indian, like East Indian from Jamaica. So I think I have more East Indian than Black actually that comes
Oh
from
yeah.
Jamaica.
I mean, but you know
So
what, man? Like
yeah,
Kirimati is one of the dialects of patois spoken in Jamaica, and like I remember one of my friends
here we
showed me
go. Here we go with the accent.
like one of my friends showed me a video, and like she's a con, and
Mhm.
she showed me some video of a man singing a song in Kirimati, and she said it was true. Now
Mhm.
this is this is one born in Ghana, born in Ghana, raised both here in Ghana and
Mhm.
here in America, and also in Ghana,
Mhm.
um, and like centuries later, she
Mhm.
can hear the tree in
Mhm.
a Jamaican tone. So it's
Mhm.
one of the things I think that needs to happen. Like if you want to be an educated consumer of African spiritual tradition, you have to study
Mhm.
history.
Yeah, and you can't just go, oh, I want to do this and I want to be from here. You can't retro. A lot of people are white, black, purple, yellow. I'm seeing it all across the board that people want to get initiated in a tradition and then
I'm only 20%
retroactively
left.
change their ancestors to fit that tradition. And it doesn't work that way.
Oh no.
And I'm seeing it more and more where people are getting stopped not by people but by their own ancestors and blocked because they're like, whoa, whoa. I had a former friend who literally went to Ghana, initiated into a con, and then this entire time I'm telling him, your ass is not a con. Every reading I did, even a casual conversation, like your folks are not from here. He finally figured out through various ancestral readings on the Voodoo side and talking to other people, and this person already practiced Palo and everything else. He's
Mm.
like, you're Awe and Congo. That's it. You
Yeah,
are not Ashanti at all. Like you initiated a tradition that is causing. You know why you're having issues with your family. You know why you're having issues at work.
because
You
your
know why you're
ancestors
losing
like that.
this. It's because your ancestors said you went to initiate a tradition of people we were enemies with, and instead you didn't do what we wanted you to do because you
Mhm.
thought this was this, oh, because you didn't want to learn another language, you want to go to Ghana where you speak English, and you just wanted to get initiated to something. And now I think he's in Voodoo, but I don't even think he's in the right shit yet. But whatever, he's still been trying to do Mommy Watson, and it hasn't been finished. But he has another, yeah, he has those spirit, he has Mommy Watson spirits. It's true, but that's neither here or there. It's like
Yeah.
when you have ancestors from a certain group and you go into tradition, most people don't realize that not all Africans got along. This is not kumbaya pan. It's not to be anti Pan African.
No.
Anybody, like I said, I was in Native American community for a long time. Anyone who knows tribal people, they know that we're tribal people. So Native Americans, we have these big powwows, we have these big functions, we have all these conferences and stuff. But at the end of the day, even they're tribal. Even in because some tribes are put in the same reservation, they separate each other by tribe, even on the reservation.
Mm.
I used to live on the Salish Kootenai tribe. The Salish people and the Kootenai are will separate themselves from the Blackfeet people on the same reservation, or people who were Crow, and they would talk about each other. And some of them were even family members. They were like, "Oh no, this one you're a mixed blood," and literally they're 100% Native American, but they would say, "No, you're half this." The kids were half from this tribe to half from another tribe, so you weren't a full of this, and they would treat them differently. And because also they look different. People think all
Mm-hmm.
Native American people are the same. They're not.
No.
But same thing with Africans. Africans look different. Even in Nigeria, people think that
Oh,
Nigeria,
no.
everyone's Yoruba. There's like almost 11 different languages spoken, official languages in Nigeria. There's
I'm about to say
Fulani,
like
there's Hausa, there's Igbo, there's
Igbo,
Edo,
I
um,
mean, there's so many different dialects
there's Yoruba.
they're branched off of even Yoruba. So like
Yeah.
and that's the part of it that I'm saying that what people don't
Hmm.
really get into is the notion of studying the culture that whatever this tradition comes out of. Like when you come to African spiritual tradition, you have to give up Abrahamic concepts.
Mm,
Like
to
what
a
I mean,
certain extent.
like what I mean by that is you can't be looking for Jesus in Ifa.
Oh no. Oh no.
You
Ah.
know you know what I mean? Like there are just certain concepts that like what you're just gonna have to let go of so that you can view the full expression of this new thing that you're trying to incorporate into your life. Because I
Hmm.
can't go to an old world tradition with new world ideas because they're not necessarily going to translate.
That's true.
And like one of the things like we were talking about earlier was the
Hmm.
notion of looking at Eshu like he's Satan. And like, what there's a certain brand of evangelicals,
Hmm.
that operate and they look at Ifa and they like, you know, either from dating Yoruba women or just having
Hmm.
conversation with different Yoruba people and hearing them talk about Ifa, like Ifa or Eshu is the boogeyman. Like
But
dude, I remember I was in Nigeria and I was listening to the radio, I was just waking up and the first thing I heard on the radio, I'm going to go take a shower, and some dudes on the radio, Songo, your God of thunder, what has he done for you lately? I said, are you Janet Jackson? What kind of shit is this? But it's like, you know what? We have to understand that as people who were not necessarily born in Yoruba land in this day and age,
Hmm.
that the same way people got family voodoos and Loa, the same way people got family Orisha. And they may be a
Yep.
Christian or they may be a Muslim or they might be whatever. They still have that shrine in their house because there's a lineage, there's a bloodline tie to this thing. Um,
A lot of times they got their relatives, their ancestors buried in their house or right
and that
outside.
and that's Yoruba tradition
Hmm.
to bury your dead in the house. But
Hmm.
again, we're removed from that cultural context. And so, like, some of the things may seem very strange and foreign to us, only because, you know what, we just don't do that. Funerary rites change depending upon culture. What the
Hmm.
Yoruba, the Igbo, the Hausa do, the Fan, all of these are very different.
Hmm.
And it's not that anyone is more correct or any more, or wronger than the other one. It's not a matter of correctness. It's not a matter of being right or wrong. It's about whatever it is appropriate for the culture of the person that came from it. Like if you go to a funeral for a priest in the African tradition is much different than a funeral for somebody who wasn't initiated.
Hmm.
It just is what it is.
It's like that in the diaspora too.
You know what I mean? And so like when we started talking about, and I know I'm being a little more general than usual, but it's
I
just
want, I
like,
want to, I want to be cremated. I don't give a fuck.
okay, go ahead and do that for you. But
Nobody has access to my bones. Nope. Mm-mm. I ain't
exactly,
doing it.
and again, with your destiny and the way your life is, I understand that, and you've also gotten spiritual permission for that. So there's a whole, that's a lot different than Joe Schmo, who then changed their name to Olufemi, or whatever,
Stop,
and
man. Stop. No, it's Olofin, Hotep, Hafthar, Heru, Yamaya, Oshun.
and
Ogun Jr.
oh, that's you just say Ogun Jr.
Yeah. Mayats.
Some, you know,
Starseed.
you're you're uh you're a very blessed individual. Let's put it like that. You got a lot of knowledge. Ah,
Starseed.
um,
Ogle
but
Fry.
again, when you come into the tradition and we start talking about Orisha, and we start talking about these divinities, personified, these
Mm-hmm.
personified forces of nature. Like
Mm-hmm.
Eshu is vital, not only in Ifa, but in a few other traditions. But if we're gonna talk about Eshu, Eshu and Ifa is vital because Eshu is a divine messenger. Eshu Odada, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, man, I'm gonna drop
Eshu
a couple
Dada.
gems, you know.
Eshu Dada.
Even like the notion of
The one
uh
who takes the ebo.
right, Eshu Onile Rita, right? Lord of the Crossroads, right? Eshu sits at a very important junction because he sits at the right hand side of Oludumare. He reports on the deeds of both men or human beings and
So
even the Orisha.
he's not Satan, he's Archangel Michael.
See, like I don't even do, you know what? I don't do the
I'm
whole
joking, I'm joking,
Catholicism
I'm
thing.
joking, I'm joking, I'm joking.
Hey man, if you want to call him Archangel Michael, you want to call him Billy Bob Thornton, whatever name, whatever approximates for you, go
He
ahead
doesn't
and do
like
that.
that.
People, people make all sorts of connections that may or may not necessarily be true when they start going outside the Yoruba cultural context. Um, but like, H2 isn't Satan. H2 isn't
Ganesha. He's Ganesh. He's Shiva. He's
right.
um
And so, like,
Quetzalcoatl. I don't know.
oh God, did you just bring up? Oh, okay, so we're just gonna start naming random deities throughout this decade.
Hermes.
Okay, so we're going to the Greek pantheon now.
Don't they always?
I mean, what about Goo? I mean,
Mars. Oh no, Legba is not Eshu. I learned that the hard way.
mm.
And I was going to say the F word. That's how.
And you know what? Some of these things aren't the same. Um,
No, just
let
because they're neighbors does not mean. And
they're
people
the
think,
same
oh
thing
no, they think, oh well, it was part of the empire, or this city was, they were together. I'm like, do you know? Speaking of the Akan, do you know the Ashanti Empire and the Awe are right next to each other in the same damn country, and they have different religions and believe in different things, and they're no way related.
because Mami Wata is not the same as Ashun.
We're not even going to talk about that. I can't. That would be a whole
That's a whole
video.
lecture.
That's a whole lecture video. The closest thing Mami Wata would be is the Yoruba version of Olokun. And the Edo, the Benin city, actually incorporate Mami Wata into Olokun worship, but that's because they already have it in there and they have Mami Wata ceremonies and stuff, which is different. They have very few Mami Wata cults in Nigeria, and they're very specific, but for
And so,
specific types.
right. And so, like, when we talk about different Orisha, especially
Mm-hmm.
talking about like Eshu, what
Mm-hmm.
operates as a model for even good character. Eshu speaks the languages of both divinities and human beings. So that means that Eshu is a learned individual.
I'm doing a hat switch. It's getting
I
annoying.
see. I see. You and your Under Armour. No plug. No shame, no plug. This lecture was brought
I'm
to you by Under Armour.
Under Armour. I'm not getting any ad revenue from this.
um, but you know, hey, I don't know why I keep using those fillers, but anyway, SU incorporates a lot of different things, and
Mm-hmm.
like depending on what town your Baba or something comes from, or your EI comes from, or your teacher comes
Mm-hmm.
from, there might be a slightly different style in which they venerate SU.
True.
and it's again like we said
I'm
earlier.
finding out. I'm finding out.
You know, like we said earlier, I'm not the grand poobah. I'm not the head person speaking for this particular region. My
You are not the
recommendation,
chief priest worldwide of Ogun. Damn.
man, I ain't look. I'm a humble servant doing my best to be obedient.
Say it ain't so, Lawrence. Say it ain't so.
Hey man, the truth hurts, but it is what it is. Um, but people, when we started looking at the Orisha, like we try to, I always recommend people try to look at this particular energy and figure out how you can apply that energy's attributes to your life and character development. Because even that attribute in excess can lead to your downfall, right? Because you know what, some things, you know, there is no part, no, there is, from
Do
my
you mean
perspective.
like how people, for example, say their children are SU and want to be SU, and therefore they can be a trickster and be do all types of crazy shit, and they'll be okay? Or they say Oshun is, the Orisha fertility and beauty and stuff, so they can turn into a complete superficial, aesthetic, obsessed hoe, if you will.
And you know what? And what I'll say to that is those type of people, they should probably, get a pair of cement shoes, and hopefully there's no body of water near them. Um,
That's
but,
possible.
uh, but
I do
and
not condone what he just said.
but like at the end of the day, there are positive attributes to this divinity. There are negative attributes to this divinity, and even
Yeah.
in the Odu, there are various stories about them getting angry and really decimating whatever was around them, or complicating
Mhm.
some mission that they were given, right? So,
Mhm.
and that be their downfall. And so the lesson you're supposed to get from that is, even though you say that you're a child of, you're almost this, almost that, that
Mhm.
even that deity has to check themselves
Mhm.
and be self-aware.
I I had a negative response to when I said that, if you go into some research, you can find oriki and recipes for works to incite Eshu or Ogun or
Mm-hmm.
Shango or
Mm-hmm.
Valuaye to attack people or to attack the entire town. And they're like, Orisa or energy, they don't ever do that. They don't, that's witchcraft. That's the negative side of Orisha.
You know what? Anytime you pray for something to protect you from your enemies and to cause them calamity, you're unconsciously acknowledging their destructive capability
People do the same thing with Jesus
all the time. Like I
all the
had this
time.
conversation with my mother. Like anytime a bunch of Christians get together and start trying to pray to Jesus to pray somebody out of somebody else's life, that's essentially witchcraft because you're petitioning some entity to get
Which is
rid of a person out of somebody else's
entity is
life.
a good word, more like an egregore over here.
Like it's the same stuff. Like, you know what, don't start on my cupcake and call it sprinkles. Like it just is what it is.
You have an interesting childhood
Yes, I have. It's very colorful and you know what, quite amusing, man. Hey, I learned to laugh really hardy.
with corn sprinkles. Cool.
um, but you know, again, anybody who says that they're Omo Eshu is also a child of justice.
Most people forget about that. They about the messenger part, the trickster part, the confusion part, but they forget about the justice part. And they
Like,
think that he never does his job when it comes to justice. He can just be bribed. They think he's like the mafia or something. It's very funny.
you can't, first and foremost, if we're talking about an entity that is created by Olodumare, by God Almighty, who are you to think that you can control and mob some spirit first and foremost? Like we're talking about personified nature. So, in what sense do you think, as a human being, that you can trap, contain, and then control some entity to go out and to do damage and to do havoc and to wreak all sorts of chaos in somebody's life, and then not think that what, all that stuff that you were trying to wish on somebody else isn't going to find its way back to you, because there's going to be a recoil.
Lawrence, SU is black, therefore it can be done.
Oh my God.
He is called the black man in the forest, so
Oh yes, omokuru dudu ita.
Yep.
So, uh, you know, as you do your own study, as you start learning more, like the things that I would just the some of the words that I've been saying in Europe, especially talking about Eshu or Ogun, they're called Oriki. Oriki are just translated as praise names. And depending on the way your house does it, you might learn these things before you get initiated. You might not learn these things before you get initiated. It all just depends on how you're being taught. And it's not saying you're being taught right or wrong. This isn't that type of
If
broadcast.
you are being taught.
I'm not casting any shade. It's a little bright over here. But at the end of the day, it's about your relationship with this Orisha. If you are trying to petition an Orisha to help you out to do anything, it would behoove you to study this Orisha. It's kind of like a job interview. You want to interview. You want to research the person who's going to be interviewing you for your job. That way, you can somewhat make some sort of personal connection with them that will make you look more advantageous as an employee to hire. Same thing when it comes to tradition. Like, this is a relationship. You're
um,
work, you're working with this divinity. This divinity is coming into your. This divinity is in your life. Period. And if you want them to take care of you, you got to take care of them. And regardless of what your knowledge base is, at some point you have to acknowledge that I need to study this thing in order to be able to understand it, to be able to glean how is it that this energy can affect my life, can impact my life to improve it, and how do I not disrespect it? Because what happens when you disrespect your mother? What happens when you disrespect your uncle? What happens when you disrespect your business partners? And
with my mother, she knocks the shit out of me.
hmm, so are you really trying to have issue
My
not to
mom's a
shit?
nice woman, by the way. Just
You know what
like
I mean?
with a nice right hook. Yeah.
So
Um, with
when
the
we
whole relationship thing, sometimes you do need a divorce when things are not done accurately or correctly, or it just doesn't mesh well. Like I was talking about similar situations. I had that kind of situation in Conan Blade where the Risha they gave me was more of a Brazilian specific one,
mm,
and when I went to Nigeria, they're like, yeah, no. Mashango was like, yeah, no. You need to take him and put it over here, and then I'll come back around.
just start talking to
and
them.
I still have people in Brazil that think he's still around. I'm like, no. They're like, you don't. I was like, I only go in trance with that with Shango, not that. Nope, nope, won't happen.
Hey man, sometimes these things aren't the same, and your ancestry will change whether how effective these things are.
That's actually how it came up. I had an E5 reading, and I had an E5 reading, and I had a shell reading, and that's exactly what they said. They said I have some ancestral thing with Shango, and Shango is having issues with what you got initiated to, and like, yeah, that's how it was said to me. And then
Right.
even Eshu had an issue with it too. Eshu was like,
Nah, son.
SU like beast with Shango. With me, like there's this fight between Shango and SU all the time. Between like if I give um like I haven't even made like an outfit for Shango for myself. The one I have is still in Brazil, but I can't make
Mhm.
one for Shango and not make one for SU. I can't buy him something and not. I can't even feed Shango and not feed SU. Usually you gotta feed SU all the time. So it's more than just that. It's like I buy something from Shango, SU gets pissed. Like literally he'll stop talking and OB throws or my Shango has a crown, SU has a crown. Like I have an O'Shea for Shango. SU wants me to get an Obo SU, like the wooden
Mhm.
stake or the stick with SU face or it's a phallic penis, whatever. Like he does. He's like, I can't. It's like I can't balance. They have to be completely balanced, otherwise SU flips out. He's like, you're spending more attention with that guy.
You just give him some OT.
It's like I'm in a weird marriage. I'm an Orisha. It's like, who's that other guy?
But at the end of the day, man, like everybody has their own unique relationship with the
Yeah.
Orisha, and different things are required of you at different times.
Yep.
Look, man, like what was interesting is one of the things that I noticed is like when I visited one of my god sisters and we were praying at her side and her Sango and Ogun, right? When I was giving palm oil, I gave it in a higher amount than she usually gives it,
Hmm.
right? Now, this was early on, and I had just got initiated, and like I was just used to giving whatever.
You were just making it rain, Palmer. You're like,
No, 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 you know what
don't.
I'm saying? Like I was doing what I was doing at home because this is what they required of me in my
She's
house.
like, no, I'm on a budget. You need to conserve that palm oil.
No, but
That's
the
what
funny part,
Lawrence gives you. That's not what I give you. We're gonna go
but
back to,
and the funny part about it was when I was at our house, that's
and you
exactly
don't
what
have to clean, and you don't have to clean it up either.
that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted the exact same amount of apple, the same amount of palm oil that I was giving at home because we were pouring. All right, that's enough.
I
Nope,
used to do that with gin. Like I would go through
nope,
bottles.
nope.
I would go through like several bottles a month, and they're like, you turned into an alcoholic since you came back to Africa? No, that's my spirits. Your spirits drink all that. Mhm. When you spit it, you use less. I know this, but when you don't spit it and go dunk 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 dunk
Oh,
dunk.
dude, you always gonna use more when you do it like that. And what's funny is just like I think that some people don't look at the practical side of it. Like
Like the
everything,
shit is expensive.
well, that too. But like everything isn't this like 10th level mystical lesson. You know, everything isn't jazz hands and spirit fingers. Like you wave whatever your tool is, and all of a sudden stuff happens. Like it's not that. Some stuff is very practical. It's like even when you go to SU or you go to any region, you need to be careful about the way in which you word the questions that you ask. Because if you ask them something dumb, they're gonna give you a dumb ass answer. They're gonna give you a smart ass answer. Because the notion is like, did you really just ask me that dumb ass question? All right, cool. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna give you an answer. And that's how you learn.
Yep.
You just have to have that experience of try and fail, try and fail. Do you want this? Nope. Do you want that? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I don't know why. Like for some reason, like today, I'm stressing the notion of having a relationship with the Orisha, like with the shrines that you have. But that just seems to be something that just keeps coming up on my mind
Hmm.
is about that relationship because like you're talking about your particular relationship to Sango. Like for me,
Hmm.
I got a strong ancestral relationship to Ogun, and
Oh no,
so
I like weapons. I like weapons.
And you like
I like knives and swords. I have two. Yeah, I like weapons.
and some go like knives and swords. You know what I'm saying? Not about the lie. Ashun, they use swords. Oshoshi
Yeah,
uses a sword.
or
I mean, we talk.
Shargian. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like again, these are common. These are common weapons and things of
Oh
that nature.
yeah, I got
So
you.
you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so like even with Ogun, like you have to understand what the purpose of the tool is
Mhm.
because even when we talk about like Ogun being in a knife, right? Ogun can be in a knife and not be dangerous. It's about the person who picks it up. If my Ashe picks up that
Mhm.
knife, then if I need to defend myself, that knife is going to become a tool by which I can defend myself. But if I'm cooking dinner, I'm chopping up vegetables and meat.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that it's no longer Ogun because it's not war. No, it's Ogun because it's iron. Because one of his Oriki is Baba Irin. And when you start studying, when you start studying the development of a society, you start seeing how important metallurgy is to the development of any sort of major nation state.
Mhm.
Because whether or not it's people who are going out into the bush and hunting for game, right?
Mhm.
Or people who are using farming tools, or you have doctors using different types of knives and different metal tools. There are so many different ways in which a wound becomes a everyday facet of your life, or is operating in the everyday facet of our society. That everybody can have their own entryway into Ogun worship, and it doesn't
Mhm.
make the doctors aren't any less than the warriors. The
That's
warriors
true.
aren't any less than the mechanics. The
Mhm.
mechanics aren't any less than the jewelers. Say no. When we sing songs to praise Ogun, I'm gonna sing the song to praise Ogun as a warrior. I'm gonna sing the song to praise Ogun as a doctor, as a mechanic, as a
A
such and such,
hunter.
as a hunter. All these are different paths. These are different expressions of how Ogun is working within society. Again, we're
Mhm.
talking about forces of nature.
As a computer developer, IT guy. Okay.
Technology, iron warfare and technology. These, and hunting. These are the things that Ogun has quote unquote dominion over, or strong.
I have motherboards and computer chips in my Ogun, like cell phones.
You know what I'm saying? So all of these things are things that we could be using to help us better understand our
Mhm.
relationship with Ogun. I mean, Ogun is iron. Iron is in your blood.
I haven't given him a mouse yet though.
Oh, okay. you know.
Like
But it's like, I mean, like, I'm surprised you ain't gave him straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, come
keyboard
here.
a keyboard inside a dog skull.
Oh man, he love that. I mean, you know what? Another one is Oriki is Ogun Meiji. Ogun is 7. Like we just lit, between the two of us in the last 30, 45 seconds, we list off 7 different professions that all venerate Ogun, or
Mhm.
that Ogun is highly present within that particular occupation. And we're not and it's not to say that
Mhm.
other Orisha aren't present in somebody doing the occupation, but it's like this is Ogun. Um,
Lawrence, I think we're gonna
you
wrap
gonna
up
wrap it
this
up?
session. And would you give like your website for your
Oh,
artwork,
oh.
your jewelry?
Um, if anybody is looking to purchase artwork for me, you can go to my website, dragonfayacreations.com. That is DRAGONFAIYA
Mm-hmm.
creations with a K.com. Or you can look me up under the hashtag the DFK on Instagram and Facebook. Uh, you know,
TFK.
it,
Okay.
it's been a pleasure talking with you today, man.
Thanks.
I think we've had, some active audience members, people asking
Uh
questions,
huh.
sharing their experiences. And man, this was fun, man. So let's get together and do this again.
Yeah, thanks. And I don't know when we're gonna do this next, but we'll try to have shorter episodes and more. concentrated. I think this was kind of more free flowing because we didn't kind of know what to expect and what we're going to talk about or how long we're going to talk.
Yeah,
So
we kind of started having a
yeah,
conversation.
yeah, this is how we talk all the time. We just keep going, going, going. And you're like, oh, I got something to do. We'll talk to that.
Right. It's like we'll jump from like ethical hacking to making bread. So,
Yeah.
it's always a toss up when it comes to a conversation. You just never know where it can go.
And I'm sorry, I got lost. I got a little trickle in my throat. I was like, all of a sudden, like, I'm dying. I was like,
Please
Lawrence,
not.
keep talking, please, please.
It's like,
Okay.
please not on camera.
Like,
All right, man.
and Lawrence would still be talking. He would be like, mm-hmm. So wait, Monroe, what happened to you?
Look, I gotta see. Look, as long as you can talk, that's how I know you okay.
You know what? Bye. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
All right, man. See.